One of my favourite parts of Adam Smith's and Matthew Fox's Long Walk to Valhalla is the symbolism in the colour. In today's episode of Dehan and Associates graphic novel podcast, I will be discussing how I used colour symbolism in my highly acclaimed continuation of the award-winning graphic novel. On the first part of page 1, I coloured it in purple because purple symbolises confusion, and Rory is obviously very confused when his ex-girlfriend offered him a ride and then started talking about Valhalla and discussing what Rory and Syl were talking about. When Rory and Katie are talking about getting into the mythical afterlife, you may notice that they're not fully drawn in the box. I drew them like this because I wanted to symbolise that Rory and Katie are not only thinking outside the box, but they're also breaking free of the cramped box. They're escaping their destroyed lives that they're stuck in. The background of these panels is grey and dark blue because it symbolises depression, and here Katie is telling Rory to move flowers out of the way so he'll find out that the love of his life died of a drug overdose after his infant daughter died, which is obviously very depressing. However, the depression isn't affecting Katie. We can see that because she is white, which conveys purity, cleanliness, and new beginnings. This is to symbolise that she's not affected by depressing earthly events because she's a Valkyrie in a heaven-like afterlife. Also, I included Hel, or Hela, the Norse god of death, when our characters are in the graveyard talking about passing away. In this panel, Katie is a pure white Valkyrie, and Rory is a confused purple human. However, the colour surrounding them and in between them is all pink, and we all know pink means love. This symbolises that whilst Katie is dead and Rory is very confused, they still love each other. The most colourful part of the whole story and rewrite is this panel, where Rory and Katie gaze at the golden pathway to Valhalla. It features green grass and bushes. I included green because it symbolises growth and harmony, in this case the harmony as Rory enters the afterlife, as well as Rory and Katie's growth from the mere suffering humans into immortal warriors of Valhalla. It also includes a yellow-gold pathway which symbolises luxury and an orange sky. Orange symbolises optimism and enthusiasm. It's in the sky, so in this case Rory and Katie are enthusiastic and optimistic about their future in the afterlife. Orange also symbolises happiness, which is the main point of my continuation. It's supposed to be a happy ending. The orange in this panel could also be interpreted as a sunset or sunrise. Sunsets and sunrises symbolise the end of a cycle. In this story, the end of Rory and Katie's cycle of pain, depression and drugs. They also symbolise the transitioning into new beginnings, and Rory's new beginning in the afterlife. Sunrises and sunsets symbolise resurrection as well, in this case Rory and Katie's resurrection into Valhalla. In this panel, Rory finds out Syl is actually Katie's daughter. Because he is confused and traumatised, he jumps to conclusions and assumes Katie cheated on him and had more kids. He is coloured in purple because he's understandably confused, and his background is red, which symbolises how betrayed and angry Rory feels, on top of being confused. Loki, the god of mischievous and betrayal, features in the background too. He's a shapeshifter in Norse mythology, and not only is he reflecting what Rory feels, one of his hands has transformed into a flower, and the hand facing Rory is a snake. People who label women as snakes usually mean the particular woman has deceived them, betrayed them. I included this because the flower pointing away from Rory whilst the snake being pointed closer towards him symbolises how Rory feels betrayed by Katie rather than loved. Loki, only being a small part of this picture, symbolises the eventual irrelevance of this inner conflict, as they both have their happy ending. Or do they? When Rory finds out Syl is actually his daughter as well as Katie's, he is coloured in green, which symbolises family, as well as growth and harmony, which we talked about a minute ago. The background is blue, which symbolizes depression in the rest of the book, but here it symbolizes childhood and relief, which perfectly fits with the emotion of this segment. In the most light-hearted scene of the whole story, Sylvia/Pearl is white, which symbolizes childhood innocence, and everything around her is yellow, which symbolizes happiness. You may also notice that all the speech bubbles in my continuation, apart from one, are white. This is because all of their dialogue and conversations, and the questions they ask and answer, are all leading them to the pure white afterlife. However, this speech bubble is coloured in red. I did this to symbolize that this is the only time in Rory's dialogue that he indicates he is feeling betrayed and is doubting the optimism of the situation. Therefore, it blends in with the symbolic red background. The conclusion to the epic tale is totally coloured in white. This is because of the purity of the colour white, which is symbolic of the characters finally leaving their fallen, broken lives behind and entering the afterlife. Finally, I also included this last page as a moment for audience interpretation, which fits in with the whole point of the original graphic novel, in that the readers can choose what to believe is actually happening in the story. In this page, it's up for you to decide whether Rory is relaxing in Valhalla, or if the whole thing was a dream he had, such as an acid trip. Some readers who don't like the happy ending may choose this option. And that's it. I hope you were interested in my rewrite, and remember to tune in for the next Dahan and Associates graphic novel podcast.